Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be restoring the headlights on my 2004 BMW E46. So to begin with, I'll be sanding the headlights with some wet and dry sandpaper, and then I'll finish up with a Vapour process which is supposed to give the headlights the final glossy finish without any further polishing. So this is the kit I'm going to be using. It basically includes this sort of like little kettle thing and a spout, and you basically put some of this chemical in there. Not entirely sure what it is, but it then turns into vapour and I guess sort of gently melts or softens the plastic and sort of smooths it over. This includes some sandpaper as well, but I actually borrowed this from a friend, so I'm going to use my own sandpaper. So yeah, let's give it a try. Okay, so the first step is to mask off the paint. So I'm actually just going to open the bonnet to get that out of the way. And I might actually just remove the trim underneath, because that will just basically prevent them from getting damaged during the process. So here you can see a bit more clearly the sort of hazing that's going on. So obviously this area was protected by the edge of the bonnet, this area wasn't, so of course that's just been degraded by the UV from the sun, I suppose. Okay, so to remove this trim piece, it's very easy. I've just got to release the tabs on this end, and it just pulls off. Like so. So now we don't really need to worry too much about damaging any paintwork as we work with the sandpaper. Could also just remove the indicator as well, because that's very easy to do. It's just released by a screw. Okay. Right, so now everything that could get damaged has been removed. So I think we're ready to start sanding. Alright, so I've just cut a small piece of 800 grade sandpaper. And what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to wet the headlight, because keeping this lubricated is going to be key, otherwise we'll end up with deep scratches and other nasty stuff. So I'm just going to gently start sanding. Alright, so as you can see, I've just been using like a circular motion going all over the headlight. I think what I'm going to do next is just rinse this off just to see where we're at. And also just one thing to point out is I'm really not applying much pressure at all, because obviously you've got to remember this is plastic, so you don't want to apply too much pressure. So I'm basically kind of just using the weight of my hand almost. So really sort of light pressure, and trying to be as even as possible as well. Right, so let's rinse this off and see what it looks like. Alright, so it's looking fairly even. We've got sort of like an even misted, frosted appearance, if you like. I can't see the sort of witness mark from the sticker there, so I guess that suggests that all of the haziness has been sanded. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go for a few more minutes with the 800 grit, rinse it off again, and then go up to 1000. Alright, so taking a close up, you can see there's loads of little fine scratches now, which look pretty even across the whole surface, which I think is what we're after. So I think we're probably ready to go up to the next grade. Okay, so this one is 1000 grit. So let's do the same again with this one. So next up we've got a 1500 grade, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this. So this is how we're looking after 1500 grit. Close up we can see there's still some really fine scratches, giving that sort of overall hazy appearance, but that's to be expected. Alright, let's carry on. Alright, so next up we have the 2000 grit, so let's do the same again with that. Okay, so that's how we're looking after the 2000 grit. So we're starting to get some of the clarity of the lens back. Obviously it's wet at the moment, so it probably looks clearer than it does now than it will when it's dry. But of course we're not finished yet, so that's not anything to worry about. And as you can see close up, we've still got these micro scratches, but they're getting smaller and smaller with each stage, which is obviously what we expect to see. So next up is 2500. So this is what we're now dealing with. So we've got some sort of light scratches still, but overall it's starting to look a little bit clearer. Obviously I've just given it a wipe over with a microfiber, so this is now sort of what it looks like dry. If we take a close up, we can see those micro scratches still. So I'm going to go up another grade in sandpaper to 3500. Sorry, no, 3000. I've just done 2500, so next one is 3000. And then I think that might be the point at which I switch over to this Vapour thing. So this is the 3000 grit, so I'm going to again do the same thing. Alright, so this is how we're looking after the 3000. So as you can see, we've got a sort of uniform fine haze across the lens. It's looking pretty good. Alright, so 3000 is the finest grade of sandpaper I've got, and the actual Headlight Restorer kit I think looks like it goes up to 1200. So I've probably gone further than I need to, but hopefully that means it'll end up with a better finish. So let's have a go with the Vapour process. Now I'm thinking that it's probably an acetone based chemical, but either way, let's just see how it works. So the kit comes with this little, I think it's a portable kettle, which appears to be 12 volt powered via a cigarette lighter socket. So I'm going to try and use it sparingly because I don't want to flatten my battery, but I suppose I could run the engine if I need to. So I think the idea is you just put the chemical in here, just a small amount I imagine, and then put this spout on top, and then just sort of gently wave this over the headlight to just basically get rid of the rest of that haze. Alright, so you can probably just about see that, but I've just put a small amount of this chemical in the bottom of this kettle thing. I'm just going to pop the lid on and get it connected up to the cigarette lighter. There's no on switch, so I'm guessing it's on once it's plugged in. So before I use the Vapour, I'm just going to dry the headlight off with a microfiber, just make sure it's completely dry. Okay, I can actually see that there's some vapour coming out of the nozzle now, so I'm just going to see what happens. Okay, don't know if you can see that, but it's certainly doing something. It seems like shaking it agitates it and gets it going a little bit. I'm going to just do that. Alright, I just thought I'd pause for a second and show you what's going on here. So as you can see, the left hand side of the headlight is basically crystal clear. So yeah, I mean I'm quite shocked actually at how well this is working. That's quite amazing. So yeah, that's obviously the side that has been sanded but not Vapour treated yet, and that's the side that's been sanded and Vapour treated. So night and day difference. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that, and it hasn't really taken that much time. Cool, right, I'm going to carry on and get this whole headlight looking brand new, and then move on to the other side. Oh, hello, got my little assistant here. Wow, look at that. As you can see, it has completely transformed the look of this headlight. Amazing. And pretty easy to do, I would say. Just to take a close-up, we can see that there's no scratches. It is crystal clear. There's one little mark, which is my fault. It's that small, it's so hard to see on the camera, to be fair. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it, but there's a little mark just here, which is where I accidentally touched the... Oh, there we go, you can just see it now, I think. Basically, I just touched the headlight with the tip of the little kettle thing, so... and of course, I guess what this is doing is it's basically softening the plastic. So of course, if you touch it whilst it's soft, you're going to put a mark on it, so just bear that in mind. But I mean, in terms of before and after, which I will put up on the screen now, it's about, I would say, a good 90 to 95% improvement, and it's only when you really look closely that you can see some minor imperfections. So just around here there's a little bit of haziness, so I might just try and get rid of that. Yeah, so I've just gone over it again and gotten rid of most of those little hazy spots. So I think it's just a case of taking a close look at different angles just to try and catch it in the right light, and then just doing those little finishing touches. Alright, so as you can see, that has really transformed that headlight. I'm really impressed with how well that's come out, and it's taken me about an hour and a half, but of course this is the first time I've ever done it, so I'm sure the other side will probably be a bit quicker now that I know what I'm doing. So without further ado, I'm going to do the other side and then show you the final result. Now unfortunately, a couple of droplets of, I guess, condensed chemical, whatever it is, came out of the spout and have landed on the headlight, and of course caused some defects. So unfortunately I'm going to have to sand this area back and do it again. But this side, I think because I now know what I'm doing, only took me about 10-15 minutes to get to this stage from start to finish, so I'm not too worried because hopefully I can get these blemishes out fairly quickly. So let's have a go. So that's one thing to be careful of, just as you're doing this, just try not to let any of the solution drip from the nozzle. By the way, this I'm doing with the 1000 grit, so I've not gone all the way back to the 800. Alright, so it's looking pretty decent without going to the 800, so I'm now going to move back up to 1500. As you can see, I'm being very localised with this because there's no point in going over the whole headlight again. Alright, so we're pretty much back as we were, so I've just finished off with the 3000 grit. Again, just going to wipe. You can see some blemishes there, some kind of like polish marks if you like, but I think that the Vapour will get those out, so I'm not too worried. Okay, so I've just gone over it again with the Vapour, and as you can see it's looking nice and clear, so I think I'm going to leave it like that because it looks like it's going to start raining in a minute, typical of the Great British weather. But I'll just quickly show you a close-up of what it looks like now. So you can still just about see where those droplets landed. They've kind of given it a slight, you can just see one around here, and I think the other one is there. It's hard to see on the camera, but in person you can see them if you know where to look. But I think overall it's, once again, it's transformed this headlight. It looks pretty much brand new, to be honest. So yeah, really happy with the results and highly recommend this process for restoring your headlights. This one, including having to rework thanks to those droplets, has taken me less than half an hour, I would say. And to be honest, you probably don't need to do as many steps in terms of the sandpaper grades, and you probably don't really need to go all the way up to 3000 either. Okay, so here we are at the end result. As you can see, the front end of the car looks nice and fresh now. I always think that nice clear headlights really does make a difference to the overall appearance of the car. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, then please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more from me, then make sure you're subscribed. And as always, thank you for watching and have a nice day.